evening, afternoon, morning, depending on where you are in the world. We'll give it a couple of minutes to allow everyone to get their feet under the table. Lots to talk about tonight. Lots. Some of it you missed, some of it you haven't, but I think mostly you have. Because. I'll give you the details of the next live at the beginning, straight away. I'll tell you what I'm kind of up to and not up to. Oh, somebody's like, oh yeah, let me just have a look at this. I need to. So somebody's message who says hello has been held for review. Oh, what can I say? Evening, Mr. John up. Evening, Adrian. Hope you and your loved ones are well. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. In this heat, Mr. John up. In this heat. I hope I've got a rain cloud going over. Oh, thankfully, but it's a Betty Swallows kind of day. To the L from Leeds. Are you actually from Leeds or just a Leeds supporter? And hello to you too. Keith James, been looking forward to this. You're wrongin'. Keith, me too. Because there's, I did a bit of research, but an unusual bit of research for the live today, which I want to talk about. Oh, Horsforth. Lovely. Beautiful. I used to work for Air FM in Leeds, did drive on Air FM for about a year. Maybe I'll tell you the story about Take That at one point in Leeds at the Headland. 13-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, mad as a box of frogs. And Robbie and Gary and me nearly got trampled to death. But it's another story for another time, but thank you for that. The Purple Bureau, evening all. Andy Turner, the black belt barrister, has done stuff on Belfield. Good on him. Has he taken his time? Because I've got some other stuff that I've held back. I've got some... I'll tell you later. Cornish Chippy. Greetings, Adrian. Greetings, Cornish Chippy. And Mr. John up. Yes, I knew. But here in South Wales, Adrian... Oh, sorry. Yes, I know. But here in South Wales, Adrian, thankfully there's a lovely breeze blowing now. So it's now lovely and cool. I loved my time in South Wales. Always rained. That's why they call it the green and pleasant land. Because it always rains. But loved Swansea, loved Cardiff. Swansea was that Twin Town film is just immense. It's wonderful. It's one of the funniest films. I won't swear, but it's fabulous if you've ever seen it. Oh, interesting. Let me go. Where am I? Andy Turner, about the court case, all to do with the BBC. Which court case with the BBC? Yes, Radio Hours next to the ITV studio in Kirkstall. Yeah, fabulous little building, great studios, fabulous studios. I once had, and he'll confirm this, Chris Moyles, you know, Radio 1 Chris Moyles, he was the overnight guy at 16. He was only a kid. And I was doing Drive, and who else was there? My mate Dickie, who I met at TFM, Mark Page, who's now in jail for 12 years. Has he had his sentence extended? And Moyles was proper precocious. Back when Moyles used to be funny. He was proper precocious. And, no, I won't say that. But he was a funny boy, very funny boy. I think he left Air to go to Capital in London, and he was doing the I'm the saviour of Capital Radio, all that kind of shtick, before he went to Radio 1. But yeah, a little spotty 16-year-old young Chris Moyles. Blimey. He's not so young now. Well, neither am I, to be fair. Who else we got? Simon Cartwright, can't stay for this one, but delighted to see your subscriber numbers rising. Keep going, you wonderful wrong'un. Simon, keep going, you wonderful, talented man. I've seen the reportage. Simon does the most insane take on Bob Monkhouse. I mean, he literally looks like him. He's a spitting double of Bob Monkhouse. And he's going to do his... I'll tell you what I'll do, Simon. I'll try and put it on, however I put it on the channel. because Simon is doing a play about Bob Monkhouse. And a lot of my friends are big fans of Bob Monkhouse. I read his biography, and I've spoken about this with Simon. I'll save it for a second. I'll do some hellos, and then we'll get into stuff, because it's, we've had 5 minutes of slava, as they say in the Northeast. Seamoon Maria, clever comedian Bob Monkhouse was. Yeah, Seamoon, I agree. Elle used to love Bob Monkhouse. Me too, especially on The Golden Shot. Did you ever watch that? Was it kind of in the 70s? He had a photographic memory, and he was one of the best comedians. I mean, if you ever saw him they used to call it blue comedians, where they used to tell naughty jokes. And he was very blue when he was live. Could be. Oh, hello. Tower Block Tracy saying, Bernie the Bolt. And don't forget the thummy thing. The thummy thing, the little thumbs that mean a lot to the channel if you just press them. The uninvited guest. Hello. Hello, Adrian. It was the, Els just said it was the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club. And didn't Bernard Manning own the club? And wasn't it, I can see him. That's where, you see, I've got Nicola Sturgeon in my head now. The Crankies, can you remember the Crankies? The first time they did the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club. And the guy of the Crankies was on stage doing whatever he was doing. And then little Jimmy Cranky appeared in the audience. Where's me dad? Where's me dad? I remember seeing that on, like when it was aired on the telly. And it was just one... Ooh, Mr. Jonup. It was one of the funniest things you're ever likely to see. Because of what... I lived on a council estate. My dad he was on the committee of the local workmen's club. And he and my mum used to go and have a swally, to use a great Scots word. And so I knew what it was like in a working men's club. And the Wheel Tappers and Shunters was exactly that, a working men's club. And it was fabulous. And the comedians. Who was the guy with the stringy hair that used to host it with his bell? Oh, I can't remember him, but I'm sure Bernard Manning. And Bernard Manning was always a top turn. Back in the day, it was back in the day of its time. Jimmy Jones, says Andy Turner. They're great comedian. I've seen a great gag the last few days by Mick with a stringy hair. The club joke. See, you're stopping me talking about what I want to talk about. I've got a million stories. Million. Andy Turner, still going. Colin Compton. Millie, thank you. Wow. Now you're bringing me youth back. Mick Miller, thank you, Tail Black Tracy. Wrong. So Mick Miller does this great gag. It's clean and it's a brilliant gag. So I'll try and do that one next time. Seamoon Maria, Adrian, do you remember the show, The Comedians? Oh, yes. I think I wasn't allowed to stay up initially, but as I got older, my bedtime went back a bit. So I was, didn't they come on about 8 o'clock in the evening? And it was like, Dad, come on, watch The Comedians. Pink Roses, Puyok Tad Now. Good evening. What timing? I was just stepping in the shower. Pink Roses, TMI. Rian Wen. A million stories. I'm counting them from now. Yeah, wrong. Mike Reed and Jim Bowen were on it too. Yeah. Oh, can you remember? Can you remember Mike Reed? The best children's TV show in the world ever. It wasn't Countdown. It was Run Around. Run Around. Andy Turner, just seen JJ. Also Mike Reed. 275-285. That's the right one. Enemy of the State, Drunken Children Entertainer was a great Mick Miller sketch. Yes, he's a fabulous comedian. Fabulous. Right, you're distracting me. So, welcome all. We get 10 minutes in and we start talking about comedians. I did have some channel ideas for comedy, which may come to fruition or not. The Wheels of Steel. Good evening all. Simon Smedley, armadillo meat is... Simon Smedley. Armadillo meat is juicy. Andy Turner, run around. Yeah, I know. Right, this is live number 15, 1-5. Next live is number 16. I know. You're far too quick and clever for me. But it's Sunday, 2nd of July. I'm off out to see some friends whom I love dearly. And they've been friends for the longest time. Radio friends. So we're going to go out. We call it having an anorak. Because in radio, the people that love radio and can tell you how big your antenna is, stop that. They can tell you what frequency you're on, stop that. Make your own gags up, but don't tell me them, because you'll get me into trouble. So they can just tell you everything about the radio station, tell you the last song you played, tell you your wattage, your output, your everything. Igor. Yeah, it says live number. Does it? Oh, blast. Sorry, Igor, I'll change it. Igor says in the description it's number 16. It's not, it's 15 today. It's 16 next Sunday. Rhiannon, me, a wrong un, shocked. I'm a lady of a certain age. Just a mathematics and accurate with number. You're a very, 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 very naughty boy. He's not the Messiah. He's just a very naughty boy. And Pink Roses, Rhiannon, oh, you speak fluent Welsh, so you'll understand Tusty and Bob Sice. No, I'm never giving the translation, ever. But I was taught it by a very good friend. Very good friend. Everybody's going to lift that, copy that, and find out what you're saying now. So, next live, next Sunday, 16th. I'm off out on the Swally on Wednesday night for dinner and an anorak. And anoraks are revered the world over because they know more about radio than you do. You might know some of the presentation techniques, but they know everything. Everything. And you can always hear the swish, swish, swish of their anorak as they're approaching you. Because they always wore, you know, those kind of the anoraks, hoods. It was like the padded thingy. I never wore one. It was too cheap. I didn't do polyester, still don't. But you could hear them 150 miles away. Swish, 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 swish. I won't tell you which fabulous radio presenter was called Swish. Gilet, yeah, that kind of stuff, but had arms. Yeah, Swish is a very wealthy man now. He's a very clever man now. Even Swish. Enemy of the state. I'm getting so excited I can barely speak now. Gilet. Yeah, GB Patriot. I'm going to do a video tomorrow. She's got it wrong. Penny Bunny YouTube channel reporting Matthew McGreevy staying with Philip Schofield and his mum. I'll tell you tomorrow. Is it true? Kind of. But GB Patriot, me and you both. Cagoule, Sea Moon Maria, Cagoule, a windbreaker. There's a gag there, definitely. I'm not going anywhere near that. No, it's a Sunday. It's God's day. I can't. Yes, I can. So, you may now notice that there is a Radio Archive playlist. And I've done that because we've got... it's like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Friends of mine who I started... very, 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 very famous man. And I'm very hesitant about giving stuff away here or in videos because I don't want them to be the subject of pylons and stuff. And I'm sure they won't, but they are dear, dear friends. I was out with them a couple of weeks ago. And I said to them, can you remember when we were at Real Radio in South Wales? Did I not give you some archive on CD? And they went, yeah, I was looking at that the other day and I was like, no way, that was 20 years ago. And so we found this archive. I gave it to my very dear friend, and him and his wife have kept it under the stairs for 20 years, not really knowing what to do. Didn't even call me and go, Adrian, what do you want us to do? And they're moving house and they've come across it. So I've now got some immense and awesome archive from South Wales. I mean, I've got thousands and thousands of hours of Pink Roses. Unlike you to be interested in Alex, he's still writing that book. I found your email the other day. Duffy Blue Stripes, McCartney is his surprise. Elton John, I'd rather stick pins in my eyes. And McCartney, does he come out on a Zimmer? I mean, the Beatles are one of my favourite bands, and I have been to Abbey Road. I mean, the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up in the very... Oh, Mr. Jollop. Have you got a copy of the Top Man tapes, the CD? I don't know whether people can use CDs anymore. But anyway, we found an archive. I mean, it's like 20 massive CDs full of stuff. So we've created the radio archive playlist, and we're just going to dump it all in there. So if you want to sit down and have a bit of a giggle or get some insight into what late night radio is about, then it's all going to go in there, and we're going to put more up there. And by the way, just as a little kind of round things off, you know, these people I'm not naming any names, and I'm not naming the platform, but people who go, oh, I'm ranting. Amateurs. I found it on archive, and this was a Century 106 rant. And this is a proper rant. It doesn't hold back. And we're going to get it on soon. So you can hear that an impassioned Adrian is a thing to behold. So I've told you about the Radio Archive playlist. We've got much more great quality. It's going to go on just so that you can hear stuff. And the reason why I've never put it online is, and it's an old story, but there was a radio presenter that was copying everything that I did. Everything. He's now serving 5.5 years in jail for other stuff, but we never put any of my archive online because he would nick it and copy it and say it was his. Who's going back on his word? Pink Roses. And if you want Alex Belfield stuff, in the next few days, we're going to put an exclusive up. Exclusive, because nobody else has got it. I'm not even going to give you a clue. But you won't find this anywhere. And I mean anywhere. Because I'm the only one that's got the copy of it. No, I'm not telling you. You'll have to wait. I just want to tell you a little story about the NHS very quickly before I get into the Titanic, and diversion. Mr. Jollop, I'll get you one. I'll get one to you. You can have a Top Man tape with that, because it's on CD. It's a double CD. Have I got one to hand? There was thousands of them. I want to tell you about the NHS and my experience of the NHS. So I'm susceptible to type 2 diabetes, especially when I shovel chocolate down my neck. And look, I know the game. I know the game with the doctors. I know the game with the NHS. Once you're in their grip, you make them money. I'm a cash cow. I won't say you are, but I'm a cash cow, and I make the money. So I get this, oh, you've got to come for your eyes. You're retinopathy. You're diabetic. You're type 2 diabetic. Come to us, Adrian. Come to us. So I go and see them. Not wrong with my eyesight. I can see you. I can see everything here. It's not wrong with my eyesight. The bit of old age isn't creeping in. And I went to see them. Not wrong with my eyes. The pair of glasses won't sort, but my eyes are deteriorating at a different rate. So I have to have 2 different... Go figure. So anyway, they sent me a letter saying, oh, your eyesight's not very good. You don't say. Well, doesn't affect my driving. It's legal. My eyes are fine. And then I get a second letter within 3 or 4 days saying, oh, by the way, your first appointment's been changed to another appointment. I've had 5 letters, 5 changes of appointment. I've not said a dicky bird to the NHS. I've not said whether I'm going or not. 5 different letters. And the change of appointment has gone from the beginning of June to the end of September. Go figure. It's absolutely, in the words of the great Chinese philosopher, shagged. So I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to be serious about it. Wrong, GB Patriot. Wrong, and you need to investigate McGreevy being a director of Two-Faced Theatre Company. No, it was his dad. There was McGreevy as a director. It wasn't Matt. He was too young. He was 10-year-old when he started. So for me, 5 appointments. These people couldn't organise a pee up in a brewery. Paulie, no, I've told you before, doing anything about Kitty is far too dangerous. Wait till he dies. I told somebody one of my stories today about high profile P people. You can't even say that. You can't even say the word on here. And I don't monetize the lives for the very reason that I want to tell you straight up and down stuff that I know. And sorry, I'm being distracted. So we'll just call them the P people. And I've known some P people for 40 years. I've had people come to me when I was doing late night radio. And they've told me some truths. And, you know, sometimes you think, well, what exactly is going on? What agenda do they have? What's going on? But I've told someone about something that I know today. And I'm hoping that they will do their investigation and their research, and they will... I mean, it's going to blow their mind. It already did what I told them. It's going to blow their mind. But there is a photograph that I've asked them to go and research. And when they find it, they'll know that I'm telling the truth. And it's like going to a psychic. A psychic will give you some information, and you go, nah, not in a month of Sundays. And then they just pluck this bit of information out of the air and sling it at you, and you go, how would you know that? Because they're psychic. And I am friends with, just as a little aside, I will get to what I want to talk about, but just as a little aside, I'm friends with the world's greatest psychic. And it's just, she's just wonderful. She lives in the northwest of England. And I love her dearly. She's called Beryl Quinn Lawrence. And what she's told me over the last, we've been friends 30 years. So over the last 30 years, what she's told me is just been outrageous. There was one time she said, have you, why am I getting Marble Arch in London? Now, I was working for Rock FM in Preston at the time. And she said, why am I getting Marble Arch? Have you been there? And I said, no, I don't know why I would be there. And she said, look, you're going to be approached by someone who's going to ask for money. And whatever they ask for, give them the money. Because you need to hear what they're going to tell you. And I came away from the reading definitely a skeptical old tart. That's what I always am. I always question things. And so anyway, about 18 months later, I leave Rock FM in the Northwest. Loved it. I had my time twice there. I had the best time in Preston and Southport in the Northwest area. And I moved to London to work for Liberty 963. What's that? It's the radio station that Mohammed Al Fayed owned when Diana was bumped. Boston Breaks. So I was working there. It was on just off the Edgware Road. And it housed Jazz FM and it housed Liberty 963. And so I said, oh, look, I'm going to go for some lunch. I'm going to take a walk down to kind of into town. But, you know, London's always London, and it's big and it's busy. So it's not just I'm popping out. I'm popping out, maybe onto Edgware Road. Now, at the bottom of the Edgware Road, if you don't know London at all, is Marble Arch. So Beryl had said to me, I see you at Marble Arch, but I see you outside a tube station with a big tube map right there. So I can't remember how I got there, but yeah, it was his middle name. Who's just written that? GB Patriot. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. And I just jumped on the tube from Edgware Road, just like 1 or 2 stops down to what I thought was Marble Arch. I was going down to Oxford Street. So I come out and I start looking at the tube map because I was trying to work out where I was going. I'm a northern boy. I'm not from London. And then I'll give you some content, you cheeky tart. So I was standing looking at the tube map, and for some inexplicable reason, I thought of Beryl. And then somebody approached me and says, give me a fiver. Give me a fiver and I'll read your eyes. And I was like, yeah, what? Give me a fiver and I'll read your eyes. And I just thought, that's just the most random thing in the world. No, sling your hook. And literally, as this woman walked away, I remembered Beryl saying to me, I can see you at Marble Arch, tube station. Somebody's going to approach you and tell you to give them some money and then we're going to give you a reading. And you need to hear what they were going to tell you. And I literally, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up and I turned around to try and go to the woman. Oh, sorry. Disappeared. Now, how could someone, a human being that was sitting in front of me 18 months ahead of this event in the Northwest, say to me, somebody's going to approach you, give them what they ask for. They're going to give you some information that you need to hear. Wow. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Anyway, NHS. No. 5 letters, 5 appointments. I probably won't get to see the person that I need to see sometime 2026. It's done. NHS, dead, as we know it. A&E, oh yeah, you'll be able to get A&E free at the point of contact, the point of need. Everything else is going to be insurance. The NHS, they couldn't organise or pee up in the brewery. And you know, the one world order, you know what they want in this country? They want the American model because there's money in their hospitals. They want the American model. It's coming. It is coming. So, I'm going to ask you a question. How do you make $6.2 disappear? Hold that thought. So the Titan submersible. Let's have a look at it. It's only 7 days. Today's Sunday, God's day. Your God, my God, anybody's God. So the Titan launched 0600. I think it's 8 a.m. our time. So on the Sunday, 7 days ago, the US Navy knew that the Titan had imploded. All from their acoustic networks. They already knew. On the Sunday. Now the Titan imploded an hour and 3/4 after launch. So, local time, 7:45. The American Navy knew. So, let's look at the reportage this week, shall we? Yes, we shall, Adrian. Monday, Titan is missing. Why would they tell us that? And not, the Titan has imploded. Tuesday, there's a banging sound. Remember that? What? There's a banging sound. And you know that subsequently they've said, oh, you know that banging sound? It might have just been noise from the seabed. What was it doing? Having a party or something? So there's a banging sound on Tuesday. There was a banging sound Tuesday night. There was a banging sound every 30 minutes on Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday, they're running out of air. Remember, this craft imploded Sunday morning, an hour and 3/4 after launch. And the people on board, as sad as it may be, were instantly eviscerated. But the media kept the story going all week. Wednesday, they're running out of air. And then Thursday morning, I've said this in other videos. Thursday morning, we found the wreckage. They've known about the Titan imploding for nearly a week. And yet they were feeding, I don't know what the source was, but they were feeding the US Coast Guard and telling them what to say. Now, who was behind that? So, me being a cynical old tart, I recognise sleight of hand. I know the media, I know what they do. But why were they distracting us away? The whole world, literally the whole world was journeying in hope. The whole world. Everybody was hoping that the 5 crew on board would somehow be rescued. And yet the US Navy knew Sunday morning, hour and 3/4 after the submarine launched, submersible, the Titan. Why did they do that? Oh, shall we? Let me get my psychic hat on. Did you see how I mentioned the psychic when we got to here? Professional. So, are you aware that JP Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein's emails were released this week? And now they've accidentally deleted 47 million emails. Are you aware of that? Oh, sorry. You're watching the outcome of the Titan. Secondly, Joe Biden, that's Sleepy Joe. I mean, how he's still doing stuff. How he's still president, I have no idea. People in this country might remember Spitting Image. The president's brain is missing when they were talking about Ronald Reagan. I mean, if only Spitting Image was still going, apart from the stage show, if only it was still going, because like Joe Biden. So Joe Biden is undergoing an attempted impeachment vote in the House. Did you know that? Oh, no. Everybody was watching the Titan. Did you know that the CIA and Pentagon gave away $6.2 billion to the Wagner Group? Seemingly on the side of Ukraine. So the CIA were giving the Wagner Group $6.2 billion to get stuck into Russia to form a coup. What's his name? Yevgeny. I'll try and pronounce his second name another time. Scott. I don't know why you're doing that. I don't know why you're here, but why don't you just go away and crawl under the rock, you sad little human being? I might never do any more Belfield if I get chewing hassle from idiots like you. But here's the thing. I know it all, and you don't. You've never even met the man. So, off you pop. So, instead of saying that, let's talk about the $6.2 billion that the CIA gave the Wagner Group to try and unseat Putin. So what he did was, he just went to Putin and said, here, Vladimir, 6.2 bill. Do you want to half it? And they've done a deal. Putin and Wagner, the Wagner Group, the head of the Wagner Group, have done a deal. He's legged it with some cash. So what's happened to Vladimir Putin? I will tell you this, that his plane left Moscow and headed for St. Petersburg. And where is the headquarters of the Wagner Group? St. Petersburg, the same place that Vladimir Putin was heading to away from Moscow. And then within 24 hours, the Wagner Group was saying, no, we're not, we're close to Moscow, but we're not, no, we're not going there. I'm off to Belarus. See you later. Oh, the Americans are going to be apoplectic with rage. But were you aware of that? Are you aware that Hunter Biden just gets a slap on the wrist? Let's have his laptop. And are you aware that there are FBI whistleblowers going missing? No? So you see, you might think that the Titan submersible was the only story in town. No. It was the only story that the mainstream media was bringing you. The other stories, the important stories, I mean, JP Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein. Emails released and now they've deleted 47 million of them. I bet Prince Andrew's happy about that. And Meghan Markle. What would she be involved with Jeffrey Epstein? Pay attention. So, I asked you earlier, how do you make 6.2 billion? And it's dead simple. You tell the CIA you're planning a coup in Russia. The CIA couldn't be happier. You take from the CIA yeah, Terry, I'm with you. But I can only go baby steps with. So you take the 6.2 billion from the CIA, you discuss with President Putin and make a plan. And don't do jack. $6.2 billion. Nice. And the West got suckered. America got suckered. The Russians are just laughing. Completely laughing. So the next time you hear something, remember this. Think critically. Do not accept what you're being told. Because it's not the truth. You can't handle the truth. So the next time you get a big story like this, and I've said to you before, why is it that we are getting one story, and then one story, and then one story, and there's nothing else in the press? Because it's all managed. It's all, they'll do. I saw some stupidity the other day about, the top 10 things that Britain think were milestones in our history. And no 1966 World Cup. I mean, these journalists, how old are they? 15? Think critically. Think for yourself. Always employ the 48, 72-hour rule. Think, tighten sub. Because it all started coming out after a few days. The media is not your friend. It's not. It's not even there for entertainment-ish. But remember this. All of it inside every single newspaper could be wrong. The only thing that I call them mainstream media, red tops, tabloids, however you want to term it, some of the, the bigger ones that you've got to use two hands for. The only thing that they never get wrong. Price on the front cover. Everything else, that's why I keep it as an archive. Just so I can, sort of 6 months or a year later, I've got newspapers going back to 9/11. And I know what was printed in the Sun. And the American press was saying this particular person is a terrorist and was on board one of the planes. And in the Sun, printed in the Sun, the father of one of the terrorists says, my son's in Egypt. And he's like, Dad, why am I being linked to that? I'm in Egypt. In the Sun newspaper. So the media is not on your side. Do not think that it's on your side. I mean, do you think that the mainstream media in this country is actually getting into spineless Sunak's ribs? I mean, I know you might not be interested in politics. You might have a slight interest. But politics is only the entertainment arm of the industrial military complex. Don't you get that? I mean, the wheels of steel. Rich boy Sunak, sounding like a stuck record again. Spineless, that boy. Spineless. As I said before, we need leaders in this country. We need people with vision to lead us. Yeah, Emma L says the Titan submarine story deflected from Hunter Biden. Correct. Yevgeny Prigozhin, I think, is the head of the Wagner Group. Do you know that the Wagner Group are a military company, and they've got 50,000 strong army. 50,000 strong. Their headquarters is in St. Petersburg. As I've said to you before, the place where Vladimir Putin was heading to. Probably $3 billion richer. Oof. Nice. Can I just pass comment about Glastonbury? Because it's becoming increasingly difficult for Glastonbury, the entity, to get great artists on their stages. I mean, I genuinely feel sorry for the youth of today, because all the record companies, the music industry, all they do is reflect contemporary resonance back to the youth. In my youth, I had a little bit of Motown, a little bit of disco, and then bang, punk. One of the greatest movements. Punk ethos, wonderful. I mean, the music wasn't so great, but in some cases. But Elton John at Glastonbury, I would rather stick pins in my eyes. Now, I don't even know whether he's written a lyric in his life, but he had a lyricist. He worked with a lyricist. He had a great tunesmith, maybe, but not a lyricist. And I watched AC/DC. Not AC/DC. I'm thinking of Rick Astley now. Rick Astley did AC/DC song, which was Glastonbury, legendary. But it was Guns N' Roses. Now, I'm old enough to have played Guns N' Roses on the radio first time round. I was working on Rock FM back end of the 80s, early 90s, TFM in the Northeast. I was working the radio stations when Appetite for Destruction came out the first time, and the guy in the rock show was playing it like Billy O. And I was like, what's that? And it didn't do anything in America for about a year. It took them a year of trying to get people to play some of the greatest rock songs ever from Appetite for Destruction. And I watched them live. And look, the kids nowadays, who've they got? Ed Sheeran. Yay! Taylor Swift. Yay! Give me rock every single time. Yeah, Sam Smith. Now, Axl Rose went on stage and sang his pants off for 2.5 hours. Who was the guy, the Mank boy, who his voice was gone, he couldn't barely sing 1 or 2 songs, and then said, "Oh, I'm going home. Me, not very well." What? Wow, GB Patriot watched Guns N' Roses live at the Monsters of Rock Festival in Donington Park, 1987. Oh, that guitar intro of Sweet Child of Mine is one of the greatest guitar intros in the world ever. And then, I'm going to quote John Lennon, who's a particular hero of mine, about Elton John. And John Lennon, it must have been his heroin phase. John Lennon said, Elton John is the next big thing after the Beatles. I think you'll find Led Zeppelin was a bit more engaging than Young Reg. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Led Zeppelin. Less than Reg Dwight. No, mate. John, had you been on the gargle at that point? I'm sorry, but there are some great rock acts. But that's the problem for Glastonbury. That is the problem. How do they... Prince, I would love to have seen Prince live. I would love Prince to have been at Glastonbury 1 year, just to show his skills. So, Guns N' Roses, I watched the whole set. And Slash was a bit... He was a bit all over the place in certain parts, but I'm sure he walked off and had a little energy drink. And look, the kids are trying to be edgy. And how are they edgy? They call themselves... There's a band called Jockstrap. I'm sure in this heat, it'll be a very sweaty jockstrap while they're on stage. But they're trying to be edgy. Jockstrap. No Sex Pistols, are they? Kids with Edge nowadays? No, not going to happen in a month of Sundays. Beatles, maybe. And have you seen the latest Elvis three-parter on Prime Video? They're trying to say that he's got his own Me Too movement. He really should be looked at. They're just doing that to make people watch their three-parter. Make it controversial. People will watch it. They make more money. Absolutely outrageous. I am going to mention that GB Patriot. Duff McKagan was playing a bass, white bass with a Prince logo on it. Now, I don't know whether that was a Prince bass. He's also playing, I'm sure, a Fender bass. I play a Fender jazz bass. So it's very similar to the one that Duff McKagan was playing. And Axl Rose, look, 61 years old. 61. And he was still knocking it right out the park. Guns N' Roses, I mean, they did Live and Let Die, which was, the whole crowd went mad, nuts. What a vibe that was. Live and Let Die. There was some notes all over the place. The band were all over the place during the song, but Axl, his vocal, held the whole band together. It was just wow, wow, wow. Jonathan King on stage at Glastonbury. Jonathan King. He's been in jail for rent, boys. I know stuff about that case that I can't bring here either. I will try it. I'm not going to do it just, off the cuff. I will bring it. But even if I say it, people won't believe me. It was just wonderful. And the thing that saddens me is that music speaks to our souls. We are our tribe. Now, I love a bit of soul. I love a bit of funk. Like a bit of Motown and Northern Soul. But a good song is a good song is a good song. But the kids nowadays are not getting the opportunity, unless their parents or relatives have a great record collection, but they don't have that opportunity to open a double album, a vinyl album, and look at the sleeve notes, read the words off the sleeve notes. They don't have that opportunity. What do? They rent music from Apple. Because you don't buy it, you only rent it for your lifetime. Was Jonathan King defending Philip Schofield? Paulie, what's your source? Is that just made up? What's your source? Was it done on Glastonbury? Pink Roses, I'll see what I can do. We're not going to have one this Wednesday, but we'll see about the following week. So Glastonbury's a money-making machine. It's a behemoth. Lizzo, good song, potty mouth. I wanted to play one of her songs on the radio, but she was a bit potty mouth, so I couldn't. Shame, really, because it was a good song. But Glastonbury's now costing you over 300 quid to go. 300 quid, which, if you've got great and legendary acts, apart from Elton John, I would have rather had Rick Astley sing Never Gonna Give You Up 20 times and listen to Elton John. 300 quid. But where are they going to get the acts from? They're struggling now. Where are they going to get these immense, awesome acts? And look at Axl Rose. The kids will probably slag him off. But that boy, what a voice, what a vocal, what a performance. Slash was giving it, Duff McKagan was giving it, and it was a 2.5 hour set. The acts nowadays barely do an hour. But I loved watching it. I mean, I've seen Public Enemy do a set, which was also my time on the radio. I was playing hip hop, as it was known. I was playing that before it went a bit mad. I'm going to go to some of your comments about the Titan, because it generated quite a bit. And if you're new to the channel, if you're going to take some time to write a comment to any of the videos that I make or the vlogs that I make, I take time to respond. Obviously, the silliness, I don't at all, unless you're called Scott. But some of the some of the comments to the Titan video earlier in the week are incredible. So the question I'm going to ask you, how much did Titan cost? Develop and build. How much? Do you know? I've not seen it anywhere. Yeah, Michelle D. I saw Holly getting the helicopter to Glastonbury. She's in charge. Yeah, Johnny Lydon outed Savile and nobody believed him. Don't forget the thummy thing, please, while you're still watching. But I tried to go onto the oceangate.com website the other day. Do you know that was taken down? The website was taken down on the 22nd of June. Why would they take the website down? It's impossible to access. And the reason I ask that is I would have thought that people would possibly want to leave messages of condolence for the 5 that perished in the Titan. Why would you take the website down? And who took the website down, more importantly? So we've got the UK government COVID inquiry this week. You haven't seen any of that, have you? That's not been reported on much. You've got the Hunter Biden plea deal, which I mentioned earlier. That's not really been in the press, has it? But it's been Titan. So Michael Demetriou says, Adrian, about 400 standard atmospheres at that depth. The cylindrical part of the sub was made from carbon fiber that tends to fatigue throughout the entire volume of the structure. The sub was the wrong shape to withstand the pressures, but it may have been designed to carry as many passengers as possible. A sphere made of steel would have been a better choice. And I think it's wonderful that see, I can't remember now. I'm getting tired. The film director, Cameron, James Cameron, he came out immediately. He knew within 90 minutes that the sub had perished. Within 90 minutes. And he was getting information from that community because remember, was it about 10 years ago? He spent 7 years developing a sub and he spent $10 million of his own money to make sure that he could get down to a depth of 10,000 meters, which is way beyond where the Titanic is. And he came out and said that it had gone. It had gone. But he was telling people in that industry, in that community, that the sub had gone within 90 minutes of it imploding. Before the US Navy. So we've got James Cameron to thank for actually the truth coming out early. He was giving interviews. And I've seen an interview by an American channel that a British newspaper took and stuck on their logo and made out that it was their interview. No. Done by, was it CNN first? So thank you for that, Michael Demetriou. Darren Porter says, Adrian, I'm sure you'll agree with me. My guess is that carbon fibre would have imperfections as made with layers. Also, I did think about the shape. Max Slippy Fist, it would explain why the US declined help from other nations. Honestly, I think the Biden admin wanted to drag this story out as it's a perfect cover story for the media to give 24-hour coverage and distract from the Hunter Biden sweetheart deal story. Thank you, Max Slippy Fist. Chris Mundy, any coincidence that Hunter Biden is being kept out of the news? Nah, Chris. Ken the Bean, I don't see the point of this, Adrian. If they all knew the Titan was lost and just didn't bother with anything further, it would have been shameful. They had to search until the absolute air window had expired. So, yes, they knew, but had to keep any chance of rescue alive until the inevitable. I see no problem with this. Why expose or challenge this unnecessary below the belt stuff? Ken, I know you're a regular commenter to the channel and I really appreciate your comments, but when the Titan imploded, there was absolutely no way that there would have been anything that resembled a survivor. the human beings would have been eviscerated instantly. So I'm not challenging it, I'm just challenging the narrative. I'm saying, why did they lie to us for almost a week? Thank you, Ken. Misty, they kept the truth away from us as a psyop. Lots of truth bombs were due to come out about President Biden and his son Hunter. They wanted everyone looking over there. Not here. There is now solid evidence that Biden took bribes and millions of dollars to pay to play. Yeah, his relationship with the Chinese. AAC 74, this is clearly unproven tech being experimented on with paying customers, similar to space tourist companies, but much more dangerous because aerospace is highly, highly regulated. No one has lost more rockets than SpaceX, but Musk couldn't put people in them until they were signed off by regulators as human capable. I agree. Was the CEO of OceanGate woke? Thank you, Emma. Interesting. Terry Wookfit, evening Terry, again. Flood the media outlets with the submersible story means other stories drop out of the headlines, like more money to Ukraine, the postponement of the not going so well as expected Ukraine offensive, Putin speaking to African leaders about Boris's involvement in the Ukraine cancellation of the peace agreement reached in Turkey last March. There's a bit of interesting strategy. So on Friday night, Putin addresses the nation, almost in, right lads, tighten the helmet straps, no gag intended. It's going to get a bit bumpy from here on in. So he did this at 5-minute address to the station, to the nation, this Russian nation. 5 minutes. It's looking lively, lads. Go and watch it, it's everywhere. Go and watch him. But he knew at that point that the Wagner Group were going to, however many billions into his trouser pocket. I mean, as a strategy, it's very clever. Tell everybody in your nation that it's not going very well. We might have to fight a bit harder, and we might have to fight in other places. It's all the West. It's all the West. It's them bad people, all in the West. Oh, by the way, Vladimir, how many billions did you make? This is from Terry Wookford. Yes, it was agreed Russia withdraw troops around Kiev. Ukraine agrees not to join NATO, and peace breaks out. Funny old thing, isn't it? Can you imagine I mean, Ukraine has been known to be one of the most corrupt countries on planet Earth. So, Wagner Group's just making a few bob. Why are we to argue? Matty PW, could we go back to Alex videos? I missed them. I don't want news videos. Matty, yeah, they're coming. But look, I've got a life and a wedding to plan. I've got so much going on. I am thankful for the people that are giving me assistance with editing. Little Jacob, who's editing videos, and some of my other team that don't want to be mentioned or named. We're trying our best. But when you're getting a big story like Schofield, you can't ignore that just for the sake of a convicted stalker video. And, you know, the Titan news. That's what I keep saying to you. It goes from one to one to one, instead of there being lots of news reportage that's truthful. So, yes, I am. And I'm not even going to tell you what the next video is going to be. But I promise you, it's a bombshell. Because nobody else has got it. And I'm not even going to tell you in what direction it's going to go. But, Matty PW, thank you. And I'm not being nasty back. But I want the people that are subscribed to this channel to understand that the Belfield videos take a little bit more time. Yeah, Emma, the Vegas baby it's taking time simply because I am pants with technology. I mean, anybody that watches these live every week, the beginning is always a comedy intro. It's either I'm dropping the phone or it won't go the right way. Everybody knows I'm absolutely pants. But I promise you, and I've already spoken to Jacob, who very kindly does a lot of the editing. And I've spoken to him today about the Belfield video, and we're going to try and get it out over the next couple of days. because it's going to make your hair curl. And then Vegas Baby's coming, but I'm hoping that the news cycle, the reportage this week, doesn't have a big story in it, and it just gives me a chance to grab hold of something else. Make your own gags up. To Moog Dome. Spot on like always, Adrian. Heartbreaking outcome. This is for the Titan. And Gary Wayne Hill. Adrian, while I wouldn't want to wish death on anyone, they really had no right being down there. No one does. It's like the final resting place for hundreds of souls. Sadly, now a few more. The Titanic should be left in peace to slowly rust away into dust. Perhaps now it will be. If the sub was well designed, it clearly was not well maintained. I imagine the more it was exposed to those kind of pressures, the weaker it got, and a lot of maintenance was required to keep it up to scratch. The PSI, pounds per square inch, I'd seen ranges anywhere from between 5,500 pounds per square inch up to 6,000 pounds per square inch. One of the things that really got to me was Suleiman, 19-year-old, went on the Titan to please his dad, and had said for a couple of days before he really didn't want to do it. Father's Day, his dad was really keen to do it. That it's just a reality. It's we are merely human beings, and there's no words. There is no words. And I'm not a man to be lost for words. But it really touched me. It really got to me. About, I mean, you know, we're all a product of our parents, and whether you did or whether you didn't love your parents, maybe your mum, maybe your dad, just doing it for your dad, Father's Day. And the outcome? So I think it would be more appropriate and proportionate for someone to say enough is enough. 5 people lost their lives, perished in an instant. They wouldn't have known. They may have heard, I think James Cameron again said that they would have heard the hull cracking because of the pressures down there, but it could have just been dismissed as, well, that's the kind of sounds that it makes down here. And then they would have gone in 30 milliseconds. It wouldn't have taken that long. They would have just gone. So I think it would be more proportionate and appropriate that no one else is allowed to go down there ever. Matty PW, I've actually got a question in one of the Belfield videos. You talked about how you kind of wish you'd done more. Do you ever wish that you'd stepped in to kind of save him, or stepped in to save him from himself? Good question, Matty. I know I've overrun. I normally only do an hour, but I'll take my time to I don't think I could have saved him. Alex can't be told, still. I've seen it when I went to the court. My friendship with Alex took a different route for a reason. And he wouldn't have listened to me after that. I mean, he's told Anna Breen that he looked up to me. I bet. I would have given him appropriate advice. Because remember that Alex was a friend, Bernie Keith is a friend, and others involved in the case are friends. And I would have just said to him, leave it, man. Leave it. Nobody's going to win here. And now he's serving jail time. He'll do 2 years, 9 months. Not sure when he's going to be released, because there are certain things that he needs to adhere to. He may even have a tag. He's not going to be able to travel. But interesting. Tell you what I'm going to do. There's lots of questions there. Matty, I would think about it, but he's not going to listen to me. He's not. Because hi Sarah, I don't know what you're talking about. So if it will help him, maybe, but I know it's very dangerous because he will not stop what he's doing. I'm going to round it off with that. I'm going to take all of your comments and I'm going to use them in a video. I just need more time to respond to some of them. I'm not. Sarah, you're a new name. I'm not sure what you're asking me, but ask away. And the next live is next Sunday, the 2nd of July. I'm not around on Wednesday. I will be around next Sunday. So if you could, before you leave the channel, just, the thummy thing. Conspiracy Pundit, hi from China. I also recognize that people are I'm consistently looking at the timing of these lives. If you Yaki Darkeith, if you want it later on a Sunday, we can go to 8 o'clock, because it appears that there's a lot of people coming in who maybe have watched Glastonbury. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Dave Grohl with Guns N' Roses. What a fanboy. He loved every single second. The Blondie had Glenn Matlock, Sex Pistol, Glenn Matlock on bass. I mean, how wonderful would that have been? Glenn Matlock still making music, still at it. I mean, we can do lives completely about music, just music, and find out. Nothing beats McCartney last year. Interesting. Emma L, thanks Adrian, have a good evening all. God blimey, Emma's keen. Oasis Nick, oh, now there's an act. Oasis, I actually interviewed them in the Northwest when they were really a pop quiz. Interesting concept. Enemy of the State. Yeah, I'll think about that. Tone dial, I'm not quite sure what that word is that you just said. Pretender's still good? Yeah. I would like to have seen Blondie, Rick Astley, and Never Gonna Give You Up still to this day. I'll finish with this. Every week I used to get lots and lots and lots of vinyl through from record companies. Some of it was sent to the radio station, some of it sent to my home address, and they were always at me to play artists and attempt to break artists, because at that point there wasn't that many commercial radio stations. I'm talking sort of mid-80s, 84, 85. There wasn't that many commercial radio stations. Commercial radio started with about 12 commercial radio stations, and Radio Tees in the Northeast was one of the first ones. Pink Rosa says, thanks Adrian, there is a lot of questions on Alex that need answers. I think people deserve that. I'm sure you'll put it in your book, Pink Roses. So, in good time. And I got this white label through, this 12-inch white label. I had nothing on it. So I used to go into the record library at Radio Tees, sit down with a bunch of like 100 12-inches or something, and just whittle them down and whittle them out, and to play on my soul and dance show. Yeah, I've seen that. I have reached out to him. He's not responded. So I go into the record library with all these white labels and all this stuff. That's comment of the night. That wins. Tone dial. Debbie Harry was awful. She sounded like your mum shouting at you from upstairs. Tone Dial, you're so funny. So I'm in the record library with all these 12-inch singles, and I'm going through them, and I'll give them sort of 2 or 3 seconds each, as I do now when I listen on Spotify. We get 2 or 3 seconds, if that. And I put this white label on, and I heard the intro, and I was like, oh no, forward a bit. And then I heard this guy's voice. And I was like, hang on a second, who's that? Rick Astley, of course. Who's that? There's nothing on the label. There's nothing inside the with the record that came from the record company. Don't even know what record company it came from, but it came to me because I had a look, and it was Adrian Allen, Radio Tees. TFM, I think, 87, Radio Tees. So I thought, oh, I'll play that. So I just went on air and played it and said, look, I have no idea who this guy is. It's just landed, and I don't know who it is. It Was Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. And it's still to this day. I remember being in the record library at Radio Tees. I remember the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. I thought he was black, as did a lot of radio DJs at that time, because his voice. And it's still one of my all-time favourite songs because it just grabs you from the very get-go. And Rick Astley's never done Glastonbury, but now he has. I hope he had a fabulous time. So, thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. We went a little over tonight. Blimey, you nearly got an hour and a quarter out of me, you wrong-uns. Please, if you could just hit the thumbs. If you're not subscribed, if you've just kind of meandered over and discovered this afternoon, please subscribe. It helps the channel immensely. And we've got, I'll be straight with you, we've got a development slate of 15 videos. Some Belfield, some other things. Some Schofield. I've got some exclusive Schofield that is, well, it's mind-blowing, to be fair. So, keep your eye open. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the dingy bell so you get the notification. And enjoy what is left of this beautiful summer Sunday evening. And I will see you soon in both another live and another video.